I went to EOD school. It's a year-long training. You test every 3 days, and you get your first try at the test. If you fail it, you get your retest. If you fail that, you get sent to a board, and they decide if you get a chance at a third test. That did happen to me one time in bombs. Worst part of my entire part in EOD school. I get that board, chance at a third test. Failed the first test for something very terrible. Failed the second test for something really, really stupid that I easily could have not done, but 16 points hits is all you need to, it's 85 or higher to pass any test in EOD school. But the reason it's 85 or higher is a lot of the infractions are 16-point infractions. So they say 85 or higher to pass the test. That means you don't need to get 100%. But if you do any of these things wrong, it's one mistake that you still fail the test. So I went to this board. Again, I have a confident mentality. The board asked me why I think I'm good at the job. I said, because I think I'm going to be the best EOD tech you guys had go through this school. That's kind of confidence I tried to display to them, right? Did I think I'd be the best EOD tech ever? No, but I know that confidence is what's going to get me through this. They said, okay, we'll see. We'll let you take your test. So I took the bombs test, last bombs test. I remember my instructor for that test actually ended up being one of the platoon sergeants at one of my unit at Fort Stewart. He was done with his time at school and he ended up going to Fort Stewart, and he was one of my platoon sergeants on the deployment. Richards was his last name, Sergeant First Class Richards. So he was giving me the test. I had studied for 3 days, took the 2 tests, did a pre-study, was ready for the last take of my test, and was so, because I focused so much on bombs, I was already at that point where I was starting to recognize things just by looking at them. I didn't have to do a lot of research on it. So I walk up to my bomb to start doing my research. We do a little sketch of it. We go back and we look at our publications to see what tools need to be done. And the procedure is something that I saw this bomb fuse and I recognized it. And I looked at the instructor and I was like, crap. And he's like, what? I'm like, the procedure is tape and line. What it is you attach this device to a fuse, you attach a wrench onto the fuse, and then you set up a pulley system in order to go hundreds of feet away. I ended up doing this successful, but this is the hardest thing to do to disarm a fuse. Most of the time there's a shape charge that we could use to hit a fuse. There's different methods, but this one is getting a fuse out of a bomb, unscrewing a fuse from a bomb remotely. So the entire procedure is you have to have a wrench attached to it, and then you have to have like a tape wrap around the fuse. And then when you pull on this remotely, you have a tension pull, you have all kinds of fun stuff that you set up. When you pull this remotely, it's supposed to break the fuse and then spin it out of the bomb and then land far away from the bomb. And then you can come back and pick up the fuse, and now the bomb has no fuse in it. And it's just a bunch of high explosives. It's not going to be able to set off. So it is the most failed test in the bombs department to do a tape and line procedure because it takes a lot of time. You have to do it perfectly, or you'll end up if you don't do it at a perfect angle, you'll end up getting that fuse actually stuck inside the bomb. And so it's one of the most failed tests. So that's why I turned to him and I said, really? He's like, well, how do you know? I'm like, I know because it's this and this and this fuse. He goes, well, you should still go look in pubs. Go look in pubs. Sure enough, that's what I have to do. I already knew that. But so I got my equipment, I go. So what happens? The Navy commander of the bombs department comes and watches me take my final test together with this person. They're watching me do this entire procedure. It doesn't matter to me at this point. I'm like, well, I need to pass this or it's all over. I'm 3/4 way through school. I need to pass this. It's all over, right? Or I'm going to needs of the Army, and I don't want to go to needs of the Army. I want to be an EOD tech. So I start doing my whole thing, my whole process, turn it. I did the entire process. You go out so far when you do it that you cannot see if it was successful. So you go yank on your rope and then start running with it. That's the procedure. It's almost like a baseball procedure where you yank it to break that wrench, and then you run to try to untwist the fuse. So I broke it and I run, and I have no idea if I'm successful. I come running back, The fuse is gone, but part of my job is to pick up the fuse, put it in a sandbox or into a metal can with sand in it, close that up, walk that away. The fuse is out of the bomb. Great, fuse out of the bomb, good to go. Where's my fuse? My fuse should have been, because I had it taped to a pole with a bungee, so it pulls, it should have been sitting right there. And it's not, it's gone. I literally start running in circles. Richards had actually taken the fuse and hidden it from me to mess with me after he knew that I passed the test.